Okay, you gotta love when the camera moves. Or maybe I've moved. Ah. What's up, Twitch fam? This is your girl, Lady Ophelia's in the building today. Checking in with you guys. Actually, I'm gonna do something really quick. So now you're just looking at the beautiful thing and hearing sound. Do 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 do. Oh, da, da. You might be seeing this, and if you're seeing it, it's great. There we go. That's better. That's worlds better. Okay. Alright, Twitch fam. It's good to see you guys again. Happy Wednesday. Apologies for the delay on tonight's stream. I had a meeting prior to tonight, and it just took a minute longer for me to get to. So, tonight, I think we are still right where I wanted us to be for this week. This week's building out is all about, we're going to do Greentop Nursery. That's the build out we're going to do. And we're actually going to end up doing a little bit of a hybrid tonight. So what's going to happen is I'm going to talk for a little bit about, today's talk is actually 3 aspects to effective communications. And I'm going to talk about more like 45 minutes to an hour tops about it. And then I'm going to switch over to 76 because patch 13 dropped and it didn't look like it killed anything. So we're going to check it out and take a look and see what's going on. But first, let me show you guys what we're working with here. We tonight are at Greentop Nursery. 2 peeps there. I am using a mod, so for the transparency's sake, so you guys can see what I'm doing, I'm gonna open up the mod so you guys see where it's at. I only really use mods in Fallout 4. I use them only really for like settlement related stuff and certain cheats, because well, I'm that kind of kid. Today where is it? Greentop Nursery is clean and smooth. Greentop Nursery is what I'm using for the mod, for the settlement. I wanted more space. It's a very junky build, and so instead of me spending an hour literally cleaning it before building it, I'd rather just have a clean and smooth option that takes it out. But the turn off for this is the main house that was here is now gone. I kind of liked that house, but it was really too close up to the line, so it kind of works out that it's kind of over there and, you know, we're over here. And look at all the space behind it. I could still dismantle it if I wanted to, and I'm thinking about it, but I actually might leave it. And instead of it being a bedroom like what it is right now, turning it in more into like a working space. Put all the workshop stuff in here and maybe actually, yeah, build that out. So yeah, okay, we're gonna do a little demo. A little bit, but there was a difference in like light demo and then like, okay, we're just gonna like completely demolish a house here. So let's start at the beginning. There are 3 major aspects to having effective communications with people. The number one biggest, I think, is like thing to know about being an effective communicator is being an effective communicator is something you can use in all aspects of your life. And we're not just talking about like, sorry if you just heard the mic move and the table move. It's not about just let me get the best things here, or let me speak in a way that's eloquent and like makes me look intelligent. No, you can be effective and not have the most loquacious of vocabularies. You can be real and simple and honest without having to get detailed about it. But there are 3 big major aspects to communication that are really required for it to be truly effective. And there's 3, so I'm going to stop hyping it. The first is honesty, the second is empathy, and the third is vulnerability. Now, we're going to obviously break them down, but I wanted you guys, before I start doing I want to at least give you the TLDR, and that is, if you're living up to, when you're communicating with anybody, whether that's on the internet, whether that is being, you know, amongst people in real life, and whether or not that's just a thing you just do. You know, even if it's just even here as we're talking online, it's important that you guys understand that if you're honest and you show empathy and respect to somebody and you're not afraid to be real with them, you go far. And even if the conversation doesn't end the way you had hoped, it's just be one of those, it can still be one of those things that help grow you and make you a better person. Okay? So, this is a really big settlement. So, like, here's, let me show you how big it is. Like, I have all this. I don't even need all this. We may have to reevaluate our life goals here on this. Or maybe, I mean, we put the houses along the wall. I have options, and I'm still not sure where to start. Hey, what's up, Lost Boys? Good to see ya. How you doing? Squish, squish. Wave, wave. Let's start here. Okay, so, FYI, it is building up conversations. So we gonna talk, and if you got questions, leave them in the chat. If you're just lurking to listen, that's cool. It's all good. We're just glad you're here. And we'll just go from there. So, 3 aspects to effective communication. First, honesty. Honesty, they always say, is the best policy, right? Yeah, some days. Hey, yeah, you know, I love the rage streams. Well, we're talking about honesty. Let's break that up for a second. Like, there are a lot of streamers whom I do enjoy and love to, like, listen to just because they're 100% honest. Even when it's, like, even if it's, like, that, like, not necessarily politically correct honest. Like, my friends over at, like, or not really friends, but, like, my fellow streaming homies over at Rage Chronicles. They are some of the coolest homies in the planet. But I love them because they're not afraid to be honest, even if it is salty. And sometimes, but the saltiness comes with the fact that, you know, there are certain things and expectations that should be met and are not being met by the Bethesda community, especially when we're sitting here talking about Fallout 76, which is why I do building up in 4, not 76. And so when it comes to being, like, when we talk about honesty, that is definitely one of my, like, favorite, like, go-to crews when you're talking about keeping it real, and keeping it honest. The big thing for me about honesty is it is always the best policy. Even if it hurts, because 9 out of 10 times, well, I'm not say 9 out of 10 times, you know, not 9 out of 10 times, but it's more like, I'll say about 7 out of 10 times, the truth is gonna hurt, and being honest with a person is gonna hurt them, and it's gonna hurt you, and that's just a fact of life. Like, I can't sugarcoat life in that respect, but what I can do is say, I would rather be a person who at least spoke the honest truth to you, and not lied to you, and not tried to sugarcoat something that you can't handle. I'd rather be that person than the person who sugarcoats and, like, tries to keep peace for the sake of keeping peace, and then it blow up in their face. Because that's happened to me far too many times in my life. And I know people who watch this probably are in the same boat where it's like, yeah, sometimes it ain't. But at the same time, honesty comes with a double-edged sword. It means sometimes we have to consider when we're being honest too. When do we be just salty honest? And when do we be respectfully honest? And when do we be kindly honest? And sometimes kindly honest is the frustrating one because society is very much a salty honest and keeping it real honest. And there's nothing wrong with those honesties, okay? Those forms of honesties. Not never, ever. But some people can't handle that kind of realness. That's just how it goes. I have friends whom I have recently had to say farewell to because I had to kind of keep it real with them. And by the end of the session, by the time I was done keeping it real with them, I realized this isn't going to work. No kind of way is this going to work, because now you're telling me I have to basically fake it to make it, and that's not That's not any kind of relationship in any short state or form, and this is backwards. Turn, damn it, turn. Don't judge me. And so, yeah, that's where that piece kind of comes from, where we just decide, like, you know, sometimes the only way you can be kindly honest is to just kind of walk away and just be like, you know what, that's on you. Facts is facts. And that's not always the fun. I don't always like being that way, because that's just not always easy, you know. Life is not supposed to be like this goddamn hard sometimes, but it is this goddamn hard. And the only thing you can do is just kind of kick ass, take names, and hope for the best. And so that's what I mean by saying sometimes you have to choose your honesty. Some people really you just have to be salty with, because they may be saying or doing something that is not appropriate behavior, and you just have to call them on that. And no, this isn't working. Dang it. I really want a gate fence here. Wait for it. And so that's the only way they'll actually like hear what you have to say, is by saying, listen, and then just be straight up salty. I don't like to be, that's not always the best way to go about it, and I don't always encourage it, but I get it, and I understand why we have to choose that sometimes, and I encourage people to take it only if you've really got to. There we go. Better. Alright. And, just go from there. So, when is it time to be honest? First of all, it's always time to be honest. Don't believe the hype. Don't lie to people, y'all. We ain't got no time for that. First of all, ain't nobody got no time for that. And secondly, like, really, like, why? Why put yourself through all that trouble? Because if you have to be, like, if you sugarcoat once, y'all, you have to continue sugarcoating to that person for, like, however long that shit is. That can be 10 minutes, 30 minutes, years. I've seen friends sugarcoat for years instead of tell the truth. And I'm like, that's my response to that. And and I get it, why they chose that path at the time, but at some point in the journey, you have to go, well, how much, can they really take my realness? Can they really take the honesty that I'm putting down? And if they can't take it, then why am I bothering? Why am I trying to be friends with that person? Why am I, like, doing that thing? Alright, Lost. You know, you got questions, leave a note. Thanks for stopping by. Appreciate you, fam. And so honesty is always it's just a thing that you guys should really, like, don't try and make this harder than it is. Like, if a person can't be cool with you about who and what you are and what you're kind of trying to share with them, then they kind of aren't really meant to be. And I know some of y'all are like, well, wait a minute, we got a ton of horses in this race. When we talk about that, and I say, I know, but that sometimes is the way that is. Whether we like it or not, doesn't matter. Truth is still truth, y'all. And the truth, you know, there are tons of religious beliefs, and I'm not trying to be religious, but I'm just trying to put that out there. There are tons of beliefs in the world that say the truth will set you free and shit, and they're preaching realness. They're like #facts in it for real, because it will set you free. It'll set you free every time by living in the truth. And I don't understand why people choose to live in an alternate, choose not to live in the truth, but that's just the way that it is, and they're totally not building a limit. But I kind of am down with this. But actually, you know what? Talk about not being able to build on it. What's we call it? You know what? We'll just leave this one open. So, you know, there's your food for thought about honesty. I'm not going to sit here and keep droning on about honesty. If you don't know how to be honest at this point in the game, you should think about what kind of harm you're doing to yourself and to other people. So, you're smart. This is the internet. You're smart. I read too many interesting conversations and speak to way too many trolls and non-trolls to not hear that you guys don't think about what you're trying to say. You may be saying it a little too fast sometimes, but most of the time when you say what you say, you mean it, especially in gaming communities. If F-bomb is an F-bomb, we ain't trying to sugarcoat no F-bombs here. Okay, so that's honesty. As in, empathy. All right, let's talk a little bit about empathy. Empathy is not one of them words. People think that being empathetic means that I have to agree with what you are going through, what you are saying. Hashtag not facts at all. Empathy means that you at least honor them and are willing to understand their journey from your perspective, even if you don't agree with their perspective. Showing empathy doesn't necessarily mean you agree with them any kind of way. I can completely disagree. I have super disagreed with a lot of things. I mean, there are some streamers I watch still that I don't agree with everything they have to say, but I understand where their headspace is coming from because I think about it from their perspective, or as best I can from their perspective. The best way to explain how empathy works for peeps who are probably like, I still don't get this part, is imagine you are in their position and you are going through what they're going through and what they're feeling. And sometimes we can't process that, because that also means that empathy requires us to be in tune with our emotions. Now, next week we're going to have a talk all about emotional intelligence. That's not a buzzword. That's just also known as mindfulness, and how that plays into being a awesome gamer, because, if you practice proper mindfulness, you actually don't rage as much because you know what's going on and what you're doing. But I'm not here to talk. That's next week's talk. This week's talk is talking about how we as communities can be more empathetic. So what does empathy look like? Okay. Empathy looks like, let me listen, someone tells you some terrible shit's happened. Empathy is not, oh, I totally been where you at, homie. So-and-so and so-and-so did this shady ass shit to me, just like what happened with you and so-and-so, and it's all a mess. That's not empathy, y'all. That's actually sympathy. That means that you're not only feeling what they're feeling, but then you're comparing it and you're trying to relate it directly. Like, their pain is also your pain, and that's not empathy. Empathy is, yo, I understand that happened to you, yo, and I'm really sorry that happened to you. Is there, what can I do to support that? How can I be a better friend to you to support you in this? What can I do? That's my favorite one when you want to show empathy. Is there anything I can do to help you through this? Sometimes the only thing you can do is just listen. Sometimes that person just needs to get it all out and lay it all on the table and be as real af. And then once they're done, they're good. Sometimes it's really simple like that. Sometimes that person may go, I need your advice. And at that point you need to take advice, then you listen all the way and hear them through and, ask questions if you need to after they're done talking. Keyword there, after they're done talking. And then go from there. Also, and really kind of more importantly, I've noticed, wait, that's not a, oh, the downside to mods sometimes. You have to take, my favorite piece about it all is having to stop and tell people, listen, I feel you, and I can see where that's frustrating. What can I do to help? And if there's nothing I can do to help, then please know that I'm here. I'm here to support you in whatever that looks like for you. Sometimes that's gonna look like, you ain't doing nothing, but really you're doing a lot. Sometimes a person doesn't need anybody to do anything. Sometimes there's nothing you can do. And in those days, the only thing you can do is say, listen, I appreciate you sharing that with me, and I feel for you, and if there's nothing I can do, I just thank you for sharing that with me, and letting them know that they're valued, and that their opinion is valued. Empathy allows you to, showing empathy is a form of validation, and human beings by default are very big on validation, whether that's physically through gifts and goods, or verbally through words of affirmation. We might do a thing called I've been thinking, and maybe I might just put this on the Discord instead, about doing a stream for peeps, just talking about the 5 love languages and how that actually manifests in gamer life, because that's actually a really great way of gamers to show how they care, how they can show that they care to their fellow, not only to their fellow gamers, but to, anybody in their lives. I'd do a gamer's edition of the 5 love languages. That'd be pretty great. That's a future talk. Let me put these over here. Since, I think we didn't accidentally messed up where these are supposed to go. The third piece is the hardest, actually. Empathy actually can be really easy. I think some people just get overzealous, and empathy will turn into sympathy. The one that's actually really hard is vulnerability. And the reason being is tied, well, there's 2 big reasons why vulnerability are the hardest. First, you actually have to process said feelings to what is actually being said. Some people are hella bad about that. Or in some people don't want to do that. I get it where they may want to, I get when some people are like, listen, I'm just not ready to handle that right now at this moment in time. It doesn't mean that I don't care about you or don't love you. It's just I'm emotionally not ready. There's a difference between that conversation and I don't want to talk about it. I refuse to acknowledge this. I refuse to talk about this. That's a denial of feelings. It's also it's painful. Like, imagine you tell somebody something that's like serious and important to you, and that person takes a dump on it. Not because they care about it, but because to them, they don't want to have to process the emotions that come with whatever you're passionate about. That shit happens. Unfortunately, and it happens a little too much for anybody. Like, for my personal taste and for technically the world. Like, that's not something we should be kind of doing at all. As a community and as a whole, But it happens. So, what does vulnerability look like? Vulnerability is not bleeding hearts and tears. That's just being emotional. And yes, there's a time and place for emotions. Like, if you really, if you're in the middle of, grief or loss, that makes sense, that you're going to be a little bit emotional because, you're trying to process that. And sometimes you just got to cry it out, as the saying goes. And listen, I'm going to say this for any guys who watch this video. It is okay to cry. Period. Tears are not a weakness. Now, I understand if you are one of those dudes who's just like, I ain't gonna cry in public, that's fine. Whatever. I'm not here to judge you and tell you how to live your life, okay? But I am gonna say that it is okay to cry. It is okay to have feelings. It is okay to express those feelings. When people say, and this is also just as bad in feminism as well as masculinity, as toxic. There is such a thing, first of all, as toxic masculinity and toxic feminism, and that may be a future talk, a couple months down the road, but the thing about the real root of those 2 pieces is the shitting on emotions part. You don't want to have feelings, so you make everybody else's feelings diminished and feel bad because you don't want to have them. Vulnerability also is not... Hold on, let me make sure I got my notes right. Vulnerability is also not oversharing and over-relating. Sometimes you just have to be with that person in that moment. And that's just the way that is. And it's not a sin, it's not wrong. It just is. And, it happens too. Vulnerability is also not, and this is a big one, vulnerability is not the space to be and I see this way too many times, and I admit it, I'm a little guilty of it myself sometimes. This is not your space to be, oh, well, you think your life is bad, girl. Let me tell you about this shit that's happening in my life. No. Vulnerability is not that. It's not a comparison. It's not a, so's pain is worse than mine. It's definitely none of that. Don't even, I won't even go there about all that. But it's definitely, I will say, vulnerability is not your excuse to start comparing your pain to somebody else's. It's being present in that pain. It is being present, and I equate it to pain, but really, vulnerability is also when you're sharing joy too. Like, you can be joyful about about what's going on with somebody. You know, ooh, messing up them. Hold on a sec. Gotta get serious real quick about this power situation. This is the important part. Try to get these wires right. Sometimes I do miss jumping, because then at least you can see what the heck you're doing here. I'm gonna just put a couple down here for the sake of where the heck I'm gonna send them. So, vulnerability is not allowing you to feel those feelings, but not letting them consume you. Because if you let those feelings consume you, those feelings will automatically, not only will they consume you to a point of, like, inability to function, because not only are you taking your emotions, you're taking somebody else's, but it also allows you, it's also a space where you don't have, you know, being vulnerable allows, that space just where somebody can dwell, you know, it allows that freedom to be, and I'm too far. God, I hate that. I already hate this. Shut up. I already hate this. Listen, this is a problem. Okay, here we go. I guess we're going it that way. Maybe I'm just used to Fallout 76 wiring, where I can go way further than what I'm trying to do right now. Nope. So yes, hold on a sec. Okay, focus. Vulnerability. So, we're going to back this up a little bit. So at this point in the journey, you're probably thinking, okay, well, what does this journey kind of look like? Well, vulnerability kind of looks like this, and I have to kind of, well, there's strategic behind this. Actually, I don't think I'm going to do it that way. Okay. Let me stop here for a second. When you show vulnerability to somebody, you are in essence telling them that they matter. And it's not a they are better than you or you are better than them matter. It's a you matter so much that I'm willing to hear you out and walk with you on whatever is ailing you in this life. Because there's, you know, everyone's got issues and problems. This is not the time, like, I'm not here to say that it's all perfect and figured out, because it's not. Don't believe the hype. No kind of way is it ever figured out, nor will it ever be figured out. You know. But what it does mean is, and I don't know if I'm overwiring, but whatever. It does mean that you care about them enough to want to invest in their feelings, and that you make sure that in honoring and being vulnerable with them, you say, hey, you know, I don't necessarily understand, or I do understand how you're feeling, but right now in this very moment, I'm here to support you in whatever you need and whatever that looks like for you. So how do these three things play out in effective communication? Well, and why are there only three? Well, that's the one problem. Some of you are probably about looking at me and asking, well, why are there only three? Why aren't there more? Well, there are actually quite a few more. Dang it. Dang it, I don't know why it does that. Can I get in? Oh, good. Turning. Okay. Oh, did it just pop up? Oh, it didn't. Okay, so it kind of didn't. Okay, 1, 2. No! Fudge. Okay, let's do it like this. Oh. Okay. How does this look? And what is needed in order to, like, make this a thing? Well, you know, it's not really that hard, contrary to popular beliefs. Everyone sits here and thinks, like, being an effective communicator means you have to be like super like detailed. Nah, it's really in the little things and how you share how you're feeling and how you share your responses to how others are feeling. So, for example, here's a great one. What is, how do you handle when someone brings you bad news? Because this is always my favorite. Something bad's happened at work, or somebody has, disrespected you in some way. How do you handle those responses? Do you handle those responses with respect and honesty and a sense of, well, I feel you, but that wasn't cool, homie? Because that's my favorite, Or do you just be like, man, F this motherfucker. These peoples need to go, like yesterday, right? And because how you handle that determines your kind of levels of vulnerability, empathy, and honesty. Now, this comes with a caveat. Sometimes in life, you are going to have what I call no free passes. A no free pass is when somebody or something has basically irritated you to the point where you're just like, no, I'm not hearing what you have to say because I don't want to continue to deal. This is more common in abusive relationships. And this is more common in homies who just are starting to start because that's a thing even in 2019. There are people who are always going to just want to start something. And I don't understand why. It's not necessary. It's really not, y'all. But here we are in 2019 having these conversations. Turning over here. Let me put it to you let me give you an example. Someone's hurt you. Okay. Somebody stole some shit, told some shit, said yes, no, maybe so. Someone lied, cheated, and stole. No big deal. It happens, right? It does happen. I don't really like, and no one likes to be, the bad guy here. How real do you keep it with them in those cases? And of course, it depends on the person. Some people, you can keep it real and just be like, listen, expletives. And that's just how it goes. Or do you give a person the benefit of the doubt first? And say, all right, well, let me try and figure out what's going on. It depends. And some people really don't. Now, some people have low tolerance for bullshit, so I'm going to be real in this respect, that sometimes these three pieces, that the three aspects of effective communication don't necessarily work for them, or it works in a different capacity. It works in the sense of, listen, you get one shot to not be a dick, and if you become a dick, you out. And that's the end of the conversation. And listen, that's a thing. It happens all the time, and I'm not going to sit here and try and diminish that. Because again, I'm not here to tell you how to live your life. Some people, that's how they roll. Real talk. I've lost friends in that same capacity because of that. Feel me? So, tonight's talk is short because it really is a short one, and I'm not really trying to sit here and do too much because there's not really that much needs to be done to this base, besides the fact I need to put some water purifiers right here, and a beacon. This bad boy's ready to ride. It's kind of nice. I don't know if I'm that's a lie. I'm going to put some lights in here. That is so yeah, this is a short stream on purpose because I'm not sitting here trying to make too much of these pieces. Because they're the three effective pieces, you can just go on ahead, take what you need, and go. I'm not here to fight you about that. Now, if you have questions, you're more than welcome to continue to ask them. I'm here to talk about that. But if you're that kind of person that kind of that likes keeping it real and wants to keep it real and has always kept it real, but is maybe realizing, hey, maybe there needs to be a little bit of a better balance in that realness, that's okay. I'm all for that. There we go there. It requires patience, which is something ain't a whole lot of us, myself included, ain't good at. And then it requires three aspects. Meaning you're not afraid to be honest, you're not afraid to be empathetic, and you're afraid to be vulnerable. Now, if you struggle with any one of these three things, I'm going to put... So, I'm going to put in, after the stream, links to some really great peeps who actually talk about these big 3 things about honesty, empathy, vulnerability. The big one that I really personally prefer is Brené Brown. Brené Brown wrote a book series, she is a legit professor at the University of Texas. Go Longhorns. Horns up. Horns up this way, my bad. And what they do and they specialize in is, for real, is she studies shame, empathy, vulnerability, and courage. That's what she, is her, legit ass job. And she's written over, I'll say now it's about 8 or 9 books on the power of, vulnerability and all that stuff. And yeah, it's all buzzy words, I don't like it. But the one thing that I've learned that she talks about, too, is the acceptance that you are going to fuck it up sometimes. You are going to, have to go in and be real and get smacked in the face with your realness. Some people are not going to just be, like I said, not everyone can handle our realnesses in this world, y'all. I'm going to say that and I want people to hear me when I say that not everyone can handle our realness. Not everyone can handle, especially a gamer's realness. Because gamers, we ain't got no time to be sitting here and trying to sugarcoat to you and explain to you how this works. I ain't got time for that. No kind of way. You either get it or you don't. The only time many of us will make an exception is for kids, because they're kids. Okay, that makes sense. But the majority of gamers in our culture today are adults or young adults, and so I'm looking at y'all going, there's So you're smart. I believe you are smart people. And if no one's told you that today, I'm going to say that. I believe you're a smart human being, and I think you can be amazing and do wonderful things for the betterment of the world. For real. That's my positive affirmation for the day to y'all, that you can do this and you are awesome. And don't believe the fucking hype when someone sits there and says to you, well, you're this. No, fuck that. Keeping it real. No, fuck that. But what I will share also, I'm going to put this on the wall here because I still like some door lights here, is it's important, when we talk about effective communication, doing all the kicks and shit, this is also not the time, and this is also the space to talk about where we at as a gaming culture. And I think sometimes we're honest and I put it like this, we're brutally honest, we're salty honest. Sometimes we're rudely honest, and rudely honest is my least favorite. Rudely honest means that you don't care who you disrespect in the process of making your point. You don't need to disrespect somebody to make your point. And if you are disrespecting somebody to make that point, then you might need to think about what the point was you were trying to make in the first place, and can you do a little better? Because as I've said before in our previous streams, I always believe that we as a community can do and be better than we are. The end. Now, nothing with this all lovey-dovey talk, because this is all things. All right, so what does that look like? How do we be these? I don't need this now. Sweet. Delete. How do we be these really cool homies that keep it real without, hurting homies? Well, you start with, and this is actually something I talked to a couple of our friends on Facebook about, and if you're close to me and you're a friend of the fam, you've been watching these emails, you've been probably watching this chat for quite a few minutes, and I'm actually going to pull it up because I want to make sure that I'm quoting properly these things that I want to share with y'all. Wait for it. I overpost sometimes on the internet. Here we go. So, here's some really great ways of being honest without disrespecting somebody. Now, keep in mind, a lot of these are focused more for in-person one-on-one chats, when you can do the same shit actually in real life too. Okay, in-game. I know people who have taken the opportunity, have done what I call role play sessions, where they get together with a homie and they tell them what's going on, and then they talk about it. They say if there's some issues or some beef, that they handle that, whatever it is. Okay, so take these ideas and go with it. All right. First, and actually the big one for me personally, is you have to make sure that you're making. It is important, especially if you're being real with somebody about like a criticism or a or a negative situation, that you're always making sure that you're accepting responsibility in your share of it. Now, here's what I mean by that. Before you jump and say, hold on, most times it ain't my fault, so-and-so did this. Hold up. What I'm really trying to say is, if you are having an issue or a disconnect or something with somebody, negative or positive, you want to make sure that you are aware of what your role is in this. So, examples of what that looks like. In a positive sense, what more can I do to help this person continue to live what, quote unquote, their best lives? Okay, that's one example. In a negative sense, it's, have I done anything to contribute the behaviors of somebody else? And instead of or somebody else that has led to this moment. Let me add that addendum. What it also can look like, and when you take stock of what you're about to say for yourself, it's important. And sometimes this happens on the quick, so you aren't always 100% ready to take that into consideration, but it's a thing to keep in mind. Is instead of just going like you, blame, shame, instead start with, listen, I accept that this, and this happened, which could have upset you for this and that. Or you can say, I accept no blame to what's just happened here. I was involved with A, B, C, D instead of whatever the heck we are talking about right now. Okay, that's what that looks like. That instead of passing the buck and blame to the other person, that you kind of take stock of it yourself. 8 out of 10 times, it's really 8 out of 10 times when you're being real with somebody, it's because something has gone off that has rubbed you the wrong way, or they really have just done something that's not appropriate. So you kind of have to make sure and understand for yourself, well, why is that shit inappropriate? Is it just because, I don't roll like that? Is it a matter of preference instead of a matter of offense? Because sometimes preference and offense go hand in hand. Like, oh, because you don't like, here's a good example. Oh, because you prefer tea over coffee. I'm offended when I serve you coffee and you ask for tea. No, boo. That's because you didn't like talk to your friend and say, hey, what's your favorite drink? That's a failure of empathy and vulnerability because you didn't ask them or share with them, no, I prefer coffee. And then they say to you, oh, I actually prefer tea. Oh, really? What do you like about tea? What kind of tea is your favorite? These are kind of things that help you be a better, effective communicator, especially when things are not great. Something I like to also make sure, and this is actually a conflict resolution piece. A lot of people in conflict resolution use this. And I always tell them that it's very important that we have these discussions, that these are things that happen, or how it goes. Instead of saying, you did this or you did that, say, I feel. I'm infamous for saying, or when you did X, I felt like X. I'm more like, listen, I know something happened and I'm not sure what happened. Here's my example. I'm not sure exactly what happened here, but, I felt very X when you did this Y to me. And as a result, Z happened. So, that happens. Also, don't be absolute. Absolutes are not your jam when you're trying to be an effective communicator. Unless it's like you're actually setting a specific date for something. Then that's okay to be a little more absolute. But in the general context of communications, using, you always make me feel bad about this, or you never consider me when we're queuing up for Battle Royale, or you always take all the points on the damn Fortnite account. Yeah, even though we're playing Fallout, but it's great. But you get where I'm coming from, homies, right? Okay, you're smart. Don't be absolute like that. Be like, I have felt and gone through, if something is bothering you, be specific about it, I really don't appreciate it when you are taking all the Fortnite points for yourself. I really don't appreciate it when you don't call me and my homies to get ready for Battle Royale. I don't appreciate it when blah, blah, blah. Okay. Let's see. This is the big one. Do not wait until you're at the point of tears to be honest with somebody. I'm say that again because it's really important, and this has recently happened to me, and I have 100 problems with this. Do not wait till you're at the point of tears to be real with somebody. First of all, you should never be at the point of tears with anybody in a relationship, whether that's family, friends, whatever. If a person has brought you to the literal point of tears, they have to, unless they're like someone you can't avoid, like a supervisor or something else, they have got to go. Period. All stop. Deuces. Okay. And I stress this because I saw a meme at the beginning of this year, and I wish I had actually listened to this meme. And this meme said, "Stop breaking your ass for raggedy ass jobs and people." Well, if a person or a situation has brought you to the point of tears, they are raggedy ass people. And I hate to be using vulgarity for this, but it's as real as that. Do not break yourself for any raggedy ass people or any raggedy ass situation. If you're in a shitty work situation, I understand if you have to hold on till you find you something better, but get your ass up out of there. We don't make it, let's be real. There are unfortunately enough studies in the United States that say millennials and Gen Xers are not going to make as much as baby boomers. And if we're going to accept that fact as a fact, then fucking stop breaking your ass for raggedy ass jobs. Facts. Like, I don't mean to be like harsh like that, but if there's anything I've learned walking just this year alone in my journeys in life is, if I'm at the point of tears, you need to start walking away, whether from friends or people or situations. And sometimes that shit is hard. And I understand that's hard. And especially if you're in a situation, in an abusive situation or a domestic violence situation, then in those cases, then yeah, you maybe have to walk away and call other people to help you walk away. And in those cases, I stand with you and I honor you, whatever the situation is, because it's hard to walk away unsure and unsafe. It's fair. I get it. Something that I'm actually going to start incorporating more into my life is a friend of mine who works at an actual legit game shop. Actually has a coworker. What they do is they say, "Hey, let's get together for a cup of coffee or a cup of tea and let's chat." And what they do is they actually get together, have that cup of tea and have a chat. And what they usually will start with is everything okay? That person's gonna go, "Well, yeah, why?" And then you proceed onward with, "Well, we've noticed that your behavior with certain things have degraded or gotten better or worse. So I wanted to check in with you and see where you're going and see what's up with you." First of all, it's 1,000% disarming. Even the hardest of bros is going to sit back and go, "Huh, okay. Wait, is there something wrong with me?" And that's your opportunity to kind of go forward with statements such as, "I've noticed you've been hurting people," or "I've noticed you've been very disrespectful or toxic," or "I've noticed you've been going through this, and that." I'm actually going to take this one on a little more in my own personal life because it's just something that to me makes more sense. It also allows you to better understand your friends and build a deeper relationship. And it also is completely disarming. So that person kind of gets a minute to kind of see how they want to answer. Some homies are going to still be tough up and be like, "Nah, everything's good. Why? What's up?" And then you can still bring that in, but they already know that you're coming at it at an angle that's not hostile. And sometimes that's not always the case. We can't always be unhostile about it, but it's important to make sure that that's there. After a person is done talking, two things need to happen. First, you honor them by saying, "Listen," you honor them. Even if it's like some simple shit like, I feel you, homie. Or it can be eloquent as fuck, like, "You know what, I thank you very much for sharing that with me. You know, it takes a lot for you to be able to come out and share that. And I really appreciate you for sharing that with me because, not everyone gets that kind of privilege, right? Either form is good. So that's the first thing that needs to happen. The second thing that needs to happen is under 0% circumstances, do you dismiss or judge a person by what they say? Don't judge, don't dismiss. Even if you completely disagree, because that's going to happen a lot too. So maybe something's going on and y'all come to this impasse where y'all disagree. In those moments I straight up say, listen, I honor. The simple version is, I don't agree, but it's all good. It's all good in the hood. That's the short version. The longer, more eloquent version is, I understand that this is a thing and we ain't doing so. That, we've come to an impasse. I see that you and I ain't gonna agree or disagree on something. So I hope that you're gonna be alright, but, we're gonna leave it right here as is. And in those cases, those differences can be passed upon. I will add an addendum. The only time that this behavior, that second part is not in play is if someone is hurting somebody or someone is about to hurt themselves or defame a culture or a person or a race, or anytime of racism, sexism, hatred, discrimination, death threats, none of that. That second rule goes out the window when those things are being said. Because then at that point, that's not acceptable behavior, period. I'll stop. Okay. I understand we'd be like, oh, you just salty. All right, well, yeah, maybe I'm just being salty because I don't agree with you, but that's how it is. Shrug, right? That's okay. What's not okay is then, oh, so I don't agree with you, and you just a salty, insert all racial slurs, sexist slurs, all the slurs here. I don't like even using them anymore. I'm trying to stop using them. I'm trying to pull those back because I don't even like using those words. But they're there. The minute you've gone to that point, the whole process is over. Nobody listens, nobody talks, fight. It's about to... Take your headphones off and throw them because it's about to go down. That's a gamer affiliate of women taking off their earrings. Like, hold my earrings! Yeah, when a girl's doing that, you about to fight. So when a gamer goes, hold my headphones, it's about to go down. So we're trying to not get to hold my headphones in life, especially when we're trying to effectively communicate. So if we can just try to at least, even in a disagreement, go, I don't agree with you, but I honor you where you at. And this has got me out a lot of fights on the internet all the time now. Some don't happen that way. And there's that. Any other tips? We talked about validation. And okay, so those are the effective pieces. And I just want to take that time and let you guys kind of sit back and think about it and go with that. And you know what? That's that in a nutshell. Now, actually, I'm pretty much done with this camp because this camp is a farmer's camp. I have no intentions on turning in, with the exception of a general shop. I have no intentions on going ham on this shop. It's going to be simple, small, and easy. Wait, I should put a settlement beacon on. And yeah. So, in short, you can effectively communicate and in-game. There are 3 aspects to it. That's being honest at all times, even if it hurts. And if it hurts too much, then just be silent and step back until you can find a time to not hurt somebody. Second is empathy. It's making sure that you honor where they're at, but not taking on where they're at either. And then there's vulnerability, where you validate and you honor what a person is going through, or whatever situations are going through, and you go from there. And in a nutshell, that's the talking point of the night. and what I'm actually going to do here is after I put this beacon down, I'm going to actually switch games. And I'm turning some music on so you can hear it while I change games. But I want you guys to, but in order for me to properly do that, I gotta put that on the bad boy down. There we go. Boom. I might put some more water down. Yeah, I need to put some more water down. Okay, I'm lying. I'll put some more water in here too. And then, just allow that time. And of course, you got questions, you can continue to leave it. So what we're going to do now, after I put some water, Brings down. God, I need to be just by water sources. Is on my head up. My homies, I'm gonna switch games. My other home skillet has gone on to play Monster Hunter World. I told him an hour, gosh darn it. I told him an hour, but oh well. But I'm gonna go into Fallout 76 and get my game on. Because patch 13 came out and it apparently didn't suck that bad. In fact, if anything, the thing that hurts more people is fudging is that Atom Shop struggle. That Atom struggle. There we go. Cool, now we got all the waters. Alright. Alright, so what I'm gonna do real quick, besides quick save, and I'm gonna switch discs. Actually, I'm gonna turn some music on real quick, because, you know, music's a thing. We all like music, right? Right? I hope. You know. If you actually want to know what we're playing, it's actually gonna be on the thing in just a second. Wait for it. Wait for it. Alright, I know y'all can still hear me. There we go. Bareback.
That certain night, the night we